Prime delivery is fast. How fast are we talking? We're talking puzzle toys and lick pad delivered so fast you can get this puppy under control fast. Pee pads, cooling mat, peg hammer, fast and fast. And those training TREATS, faster than you can say sit fast. Fast, free delivery. It's on Prime.
If your roof starts to leak or your floor's really squeak, you live in a money pit. Money pit.
If your basement needs a pump or your place looks like a dump, you live in a money pit. Money pit. Pick up the telephone.
Fix up your home sweet home by calling 888-MONEY-PIT.
The Money Pit is presented by Ladera by Pavestone. Now here's Leslie Segretti.
Coast to coast and floorboards to shingles, this is the Money Pit. I'm Leslie Segretti, and I'm joined this holiday weekend with our producer extraordinaire, Jim Kenzie. Welcome, Jim.
Hey, Leslie, how are you doing? Doll face?
Doing great. Doing great.
Good.
All right, guys, we are busy laboring away so that you can have the home of your dreams. And we can help with all of your how-to questions and dreams, so just ask away. We've got a great show for you this hour to help make the change from summer to fall. Coming up before that first cold snap hits, make sure that your home is ready to bring the heat. We're going to tell you how to prep your furnace and fireplace for the season, from filters and professional tune-ups to fireplace safety and carbon monoxide detectors, so you don't get left out in the cold. And it is time to tackle that dreaded closet flip. We're going to walk you through the smart way to transition your wardrobe for fall, from how to store away your summer clothes to closet accessories that create instant space, plus easy ways to freshen up your storage so your flannel shirts smell as good as they look. It's a small project, but it has a big impact. And as fall does creep in, your floors are about to face a gauntlet of muddy boots, wet paws, and dropped leaves. We are going to share the smart seasonal steps to deep clean and protect wood, tile, and stone floors before they take a beating. From sealing stone to silencing squeaks, we'll help you get ahead of the wear and tear before it sets in. That's all just ahead right here on the Money Pit. So give us a call. Jim, who's first?
Laura in Connecticut wants to rearrange the kitchen. How can we help you out, Laura? Is this an old house?
It's an old house. The house is 100 plus. And right underneath the kitchen floor, there is a portion of the floor that doesn't have a beam under it. We would like to place an appliance there. So we just need something that would just support it gently, just in case too much weight.
All right. Well, it's good that you're looking at this kind of stuff. I mean, 100-year-old houses are very special. I have one. Tom has one. They're kind of great because they have so much character and they don't look like every other house, which is what makes them so special. But they have their own unique issues as well. So I think the beams that are already there are meant to hold things that are heavy, and refrigerators actually aren't that heavy in the grand scheme of things, but if it would make you feel more comfortable to sort of strengthen that structure under the kitchen area, you would have to make sure that you're supporting those floor joists more efficiently or more effectively. What you would do is you would put like a girder-like beam underneath those floor joists on some lolly columns that could be supported by a very small foundation. And that could be as small as like a 1 foot by 1 foot square of concrete. And it's just to kind of take the bounce out of the middle of those beams. So basically you're strengthening that joist and you're giving it more support on the floor. I don't know that you actually need to do that, but if it makes you feel comfortable, if you have plans to do other larger things, then it might make sense. But I would definitely, start there if that's what you're thinking.
Okay. Now, if there is a dirt floor, would it be wise to put down a cement foundation?
Yeah. So even with a dirt floor, you would be putting down just sort of like a concrete column, just like a support that individually holds up that lolly column. So the column sits on top of that. It's not the same as a foundation. It's not the same as pouring a floor for the entire space. It's just providing a structural support for this beam that's going to lift up this new joist that you're adding. And you need that because if you were to put wood or anything that would be in contact with that dirt floor all the time, you would have decay, you would have issues there, but that concrete is going to give it that neutral footing.
Laura, thanks so much for reaching out to us at 888 Money Pit. Leslie, we've got Dennis on the line who needs some help building a dock at his Florida home. Ooh, I envy him. Tell us what you're working on, Dennis.
Yes, I'm having a contractor put in a dock at our Florida home that's on a lake, a 200-acre natural lake, and I was asking about using the Trex type, the material for the surface, and he did not recommend, he did not think it would hold up. He said he had used not necessarily that brand, but others, and he didn't think it's fresh water. So I was just wondering if that would be a good idea or a bad idea.
All right. Well, first of all, when you say building a deck in a lake in Florida, I think, crocodiles. Look out for the alligators. But secondly, yeah, let's talk about this deck there. I don't know why your builder would say that Trex is not a great choice. I mean, Trex is used all over, the United States, the world, in fact. I mean, I've seen it on boardwalks. I've seen it in popular places like Leslie's backyard. It's really standing up there.
I'll tell you one reason a contractor just might do that.
Why?
Because he can make better margin on a similar, lesser brand.
Yeah, I guess you, Tom, always ready to just put the guys down. I'm like, I feel like everybody always has their best interest, which is why I'm a sucker. But, Trex is an awesome brand. That said, in Florida, maybe Trex isn't readily available, which I doubt. It's everywhere. It is everywhere. There's a lot of great choices. It's super durable. It stands up to the sun, mold, moisture. I mean, you never have to do any work on it.
It's kind of like the Kleenex of decking.
Yeah, exactly. It's a brand name that you use across the board for the material.
Exactly. For any kind of composite decking.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think composite decking's a great choice. I 100% would say Trex is awesome. I will let you know, though, I mean, Florida, sun, dock, seems like it's going to be in the sun quite a bit. All of these composites do get very hot. So, you're not going to be, running up and down this barefoot on a sunny day because it is hot. You're not going to, lay out on a towel on it because it's hot. Also, alligators. But that said, it's a great, great choice. I mean, put on some flip-flops when you're walking up and down the dock. It's going to stand up. You're not going to have to do any work. Maybe you'll pressure wash it once in a while. But it is a great, great product. So I wouldn't be worried about a Trex product or any other composite for that matter.
Yeah, and if you are a competitor of Trex and you want some coverage on your product, my home needs one. We should talk.
A dock in Florida, Jim?
No, but I still need a deck. I still need the composite material. So if you just happen to be out there competing with them, let's talk. We'll do an in-progress video.
It's accent hour here at the Money Pit, clearly.
Evidently.
All right, Dennis. Well, good luck with that. And enjoy your new dock.
At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high-quality walking shoes, which might lead to another discovery.
40,000 steps, baby. Who's on top now, Karen?
You've taken the office step challenge a step too far. Don't worry, though. Sierra also has yoga gear. It might be a good place to find your zen. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Well, you know why that is, Les?
Why?
Because Tom was Italian, you're Italian, I'm Italian. We got the thing. It's a character thing.
I'm telling you, as we record more of these video segments of us recording, it's hilarious. I hope that my hand movements come through because I'm surprised I don't smack the microphone more because I'm like, let me tell you the story. And I'm like, sit on your hands, girl.
Do you want us to fly in a graphic under that she's Italian, just imagine the hands, or we could AI some hands in?
Okay. Yes, please draw in some cartoon hands.
Yeah, AI, please add some hands to Leslie talking with, a hint of Sicilian with just a touch of Calabrese.
Hey, you want to make our day? well, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and we'll be jumping for joy. Plus, you guys, your feedback helps us make the show even better for you. Just go to moneypit.com/review. Well, whether you are fixing a leak, remodeling a kitchen, or just wondering why your door won't shut when the humidity spikes, we've got answers every week on the Money Pit podcast. We dive into smart home tips, DIY tricks, expert interviews, and real-life questions from homeowners just like you. So grab your earbuds and come hang out. And you can find the Money Pit podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. New episodes drop every week, and I promise you'll leave feeling a little more empowered and a lot more confident about your home. Well, here's a fall reality check. Nobody wants to flip the switch on that first chilly night only to find that their heat isn't working. That's why now is the time to get your furnace and fireplace ready before you really need them. You want to start with your furnace filter. It should be replaced at least every 3 months and more often if you have pets or allergies. That dirty filter is going to make your system work harder. It's going to cost more than to operate, and it will deliver less comfort. Next, you want to test your thermostat. Set it to heat and make sure that that system responds and that warm air is flowing through the vents. If not, it could be a sign that it's time for a tune-up. Now, speaking of tune-ups, a professional HVAC inspection is a smart seasonal move. Technicians can catch small issues before they turn into major breakdowns, and they'll check things like electrical connections, gas pressure, and blower function. Now, you don't want to forget about the vents and the registers. You want to vacuum them out, remove any dust buildup, and make sure that they're not blocked by furniture or rugs. The airflow here is critical to its efficiency. Now, if you're using a fireplace, you do want to schedule a chimney sweep now. Buildup of creosote is a major fire hazard. And while you're at it, inspect your chimney cap and the flashings. You want to stock up on seasoned wood and make sure that your damper works smoothly. And finally, let's test those carbon monoxide detectors and smoke alarms and replace the batteries if needed. These are your home's silent guardians when the heat is on. I also use this back-to-school swing to kind of remind my family of our fire safety plan. You never know when this could happen, so a refresh is always good. Prepping your heat now means peace of mind later, and it's one more thing to check off that fall to-do list. All right, let's get back to it. Jim, who's up next?
Leslie, in the gorgeous state of California, one of my favorites, we've got Heather. Heather, how can we help you out in the Money Pit today?
I had just bought a house with my husband, our first house, and it was built in 1937. It is on a perimeter foundation, and the previous owners actually had some of the downspouts that were pointing at the foundation instead of away from the foundation. So the concrete is basically destroyed on the foundation. There's also some issues with soil settlement since the house was built. So the floors aren't completely level either. So we've had some people come out and give us quotes in terms of like a full foundation replacement on the house. And it's looking like it will be upwards of $150,000 to do this.
All right, well, first let me stop you right there. Now, the people that have come out to give you quotes on a new foundation, have you had any independent structural advice first that wasn't associated with what a contractor will do? So, for example, have you had the foundation evaluated by a structural engineer?
Only a structural engineer that worked for the general contractors.
All right, well, that's kind of like a direct conflict of interest. And of course, they're going to tell you that you've got a bad foundation and that their guy is the guy who's going to fix it for you.
Everyone that went under there said the concrete has vertical cracks in it and also is crumbling. So even one of the inspectors took a video for us, and he just touched the concrete, and then it just came off in his hand.
Yeah, so the first thing I would say that you need, especially with a repair of this size, is you need some sort of independent expert advice. Now, that means a civil engineer or a structural engineer or an architect that can examine that foundation, because I've got to say that I have almost never seen a house that needed a complete brand spanking new foundation, even one that was built in the 30s. Now, you say it was destroyed because of water. So spalling could be concrete or it could be mineral salts, especially since you've had a water problem. Sometimes people think their foundation is deteriorating and it's just mineral salt deposits that are falling off of the surface. And the mineral salt is what's left behind when the water gets into the ground and kind of, from the rain and then comes through the concrete and evaporates and leaves behind the salt content from the water. It can look very much like concrete. It can be dark gray. It can be crumbly, but not necessarily the concrete. So I'm not 100% convinced by what you're telling me that you need a new foundation. Certainly you may need some repairs. If it's all cracked, you may need to reskin the outside. You may need to restucco it. There's a product from Quikrete called Recap that could work well on a concrete surface like this. Clearly, you have to work on the water around the area of the house, around the perimeter. You need downspouts. If you don't have them, add them. If you do, you want to make sure that the water that's coming out of them goes away from that foundation, so it's not deteriorating that surface any further. But I would tell you, don't spend $150,000 on any of these guys until you have an independent, verified expert come in and give you their advice, because that's the only way you're going to know if you really have a problem that needs to be repaired. I wouldn't take the advice of a contractor or an inspector that contractor has sent over, because it's just a conflict of interest. So if you have somebody come in, does a report, they're going to identify the problem. And you know what? If they're sending their guy over, you're probably going to be scared into doing something that maybe you don't need to do. You might need to do it, but maybe you don't.
Yeah, it is. It feels very scary. I think, especially since it's our first house. We don't want to live in a house that has a bad foundation in California where there are earthquakes.
Yeah, and they know it's your first house, and they feel that way.
He said the foundation was in really bad shape, and we should have a foundation specialist come out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you about earthquakes and bad foundations. I mean, we on the East Coast had 3 earthquakes this summer. That's very bizarre for us. So I can understand not wanting to have a foundation issue in earthquakes in California. But what I would do is definitely find somebody who is an independent structural engineer, and you can find somebody, even if you just started with an independent professional home inspector, not somebody from any of the builders that you're talking to, so that this way you can have a complete independent, unbiased report.
Okay.
And it's going to be worth every dime, because that structural engineer would not only look at the foundation, but you want them to say, okay, this is your foundation. Here is what we recommend. Here's the design and the plan for the repair. And then after you do the repair, you've got all these documents now, right? It's got a drawing of the repair, the specifications, the document that you say, here, contractors, this is what needs to happen, from a person who knows exactly what needs to happen. And then those contractors can all say, great, awesome, my bid's X, my bid's Y, my bid's Z. They're all bidding, though, on the same approach, the same correction, the same fix. Does that make sense? And once that repair is done, you go back to that original structural engineer and you say, hey, come on back, take a look. Did we do it right? And they will say yes, and they will give you a stamp, seal of approval, and all of a sudden you have this full documentation of this repair. And when, if ever comes time to sell the house, you can say, oh, by the by, we had this issue. Here's what was recommended. Here's how we fix it. Here it's all fixed. So it's kind of, a good approach to making sure things are done correctly and actually what needs to be done. So you're doing it safe, you're not overspending money, and the right solution is being installed. Does that make sense?
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
All right. Well, good luck with that project. Don't be nervous. I know it's your first home, but you're going to do great. And, just put our number on speed dial. You're going to have a lot of questions.
Good luck with that foundation problem, Susan, and thanks for calling the Money Pit.
Save big during Labor Day at Lowe's. Get up to 40% off select major appliances. Plus, buy more to get up to an additional 20% off. Shop even more savings with 3 Stay Green 1 cubic foot vegetable and flower garden soil bags for $10. This Labor Day, take care of your home for less at Lowe's. We help, you save. Valid through 9/3. Soil offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Selection varies by location. Select locations only. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. Earn 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. And with a welcome offer of 150,000 points after you spend $20,000 on purchases on the card within your first 3 months of membership, your business can soar to new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum. Built for business by American Express.
We are here to help you save time, save money, and avoid the oops moments that turn a good idea into a weekend gone sideways. But we need you to be the heart of the show. So give us a call anytime at 888-MONEY-PIT. Well, as the summer winds down and the cool weather starts to creep in, now is the time to tackle that closet flip. I always find that I do this and then step away and then come back and realize that everything is out on my bed and go, oh man, I forgot. So start this project when you have time. You're going to trade those tank tops for flannels, make room for the boots and the scarves and the sweaters. It is a satisfying seasonal ritual, and it's a great way to keep your home feeling organized heading into the fall. So you want to start by pulling out all of your warm weather gear, shorts, swimwear, sandals, and decide what's worth keeping. If something didn't get worn this summer, maybe it's time to donate it. The key here is decluttering before you stash those things away. For storage, clear bins and underbed boxes are going to be your best friends. Vacuum-sealed bags are also fantastic. They save a ton of space and they keep out dust and bugs. And don't forget about closet accessories like stackable shelves, hanging shoe organizers, and drawer dividers. These can help you take advantage of every little square inch of that valuable closet real estate. And here's a smart bonus tip. Freshen your closets while you're in there. Natural deodorizers like baking soda sachets, cedar blocks, or lavender pouches will help prevent musty smells and deter those moths, all while keeping your clothing smelling fresh. If you are organized now, you will thank yourself when the holiday season hits and your schedule gets crazy. A quick closet refresh can make your whole home feel more peaceful and even save you time when you're getting dressed in the morning. Gotta love that, especially when I wake up at 3 a.m. for work every single day. The closet has got to stay organized. All right, let's get back to the phones.
Leslie, we've got Mike on the line who's dealing with pinhole leaks. And I've had these. You may have had those on your house,
I have had them.
Oh, and you think, well, pinhole, yeah, I'll get to it. No, get to it now.
I didn't even notice it until like the paint was sagging off of the wall. And I was like, what is going on here? And then I noticed it above my head, actually right where I record. So,
oh, well, I guess we're stealing Mike's thunder, Mike.
Sorry, Mike.
How can we help out?
I have a house that's just about 36 years old. The plumbing, it's a copper pipe. It's the M type of copper. About 2 months ago, I got a pinhole leak in an area in my first floor inside the wall. Got that repaired. Last week, I came home and I had another pinhole leak. And I'm just wondering, with the house being this old, should re-pipe the house possibly? Or another method I've been reading about is called E-pipe. Wondering if you could give me any information on what your ideas are on that.
Yeah, Mike, plumbing, unfortunately, can develop these pinhole leaks. I mean, they talk about it being like two different metals sort of interacting. Maybe the pipe clamp and the pipe sort of reacted against one another and caused these pinhole leaks to happen. They also say it could be because of what's in the water. So there's a couple of different things. I had this. Jim has had this. I mean, it's amazing how much does come out of those tiny, tiny little pinhole leaks. So it can be problematic, but I would think immediately you have to kind of just replace that plumbing there, because where it's happening, it's going to happen more. And then you kind of sadly have to follow that line, and anything that's of those same materials, I would replace as well. I mean, it's an issue that could be far more problematic if it continues to develop down the line of the pipe. If you don't notice it, it could cause a lot of damage. So you're going to have to sadly open things up, look at the plumbing, see what's going on there, and replace those sections. And perhaps it's just a small section. I wouldn't go crazy and rip everything out and put in, cross-link polyethylene. I mean, you can if you feel like taking on a big project. But for the meantime, I would just sort of start, see where the problem is, fix that section, and then if you've got time, budget, etc., expand on that project. But for now, work on the areas that you see are leaking and continue, before and after it a little bit, in replacing the plumbing there. So it's definitely just a good thing to get ahead of, because I couldn't believe how much water was coming out of it. Truly, Jim, like there were sagging pockets of water in the paint, and I was like, wow, that's some really good paint that's holding in that water. I should poke it. Oh, now I'm soaking wet. Great. But yeah, so sorry about that, Mike, but it's a good project that you can get ahead of. And you know what? Ultimately, you're improving the value of the home. You're upgrading the plumbing. So let's look at it as a positive. All right. Thanks so much for calling us at 888 Money Pit, Mike. Well, here's a fast fall tip. When it comes to cleaning up leaves, don't just reach for the rake. Work smarter, not harder. A leaf blower can speed things up, especially on your driveway and your patios. For lawn areas, try mowing over dry leaves with a mulching mower. It's going to chop them up into tiny pieces that will break down quickly and feed your soil free fertilizer. You gotta love that. And remember, wet leaves are slippery and heavy, so tackle them before rain hits to make the job easier and safer. All right, let's get back to the phones. Jim, who's next?
All right, Leslie, we've got Maureen in Nebraska who needs some help with vinyl windows that are looking pretty faded. Why don't you tell us about it, Maureen?
They are chalking and leaving white streaks down my glass of the window. Is there any finish I can put on them like a varnish that will hold up to the weather?
Yeah, Maureen, sadly, though, when that vinyl does start to wear like that, you can't really totally restore it. But what you can do is paint it. I mean, in fact, you could paint vinyl and you could even paint vinyl siding, but you have to use the right kind of paint and you have to prep it correctly. Now, most major paint suppliers have what they call vinyl safe colors, which are usually white and a lighter color. And you can't really use darker colors because it absorbs too much heat and then can warp and do weird stuff to the vinyl. But if you prep those windows properly and, you follow those manufacturer's directions and you use a vinyl safe paint, you could totally paint them and that color and paint will last a long time. You just have to remember, you have to use the right product because that vinyl isn't organic. It doesn't have pores. It doesn't breathe like wood does. So the paint really tends to stand up quite well. So that's why you have to get the right paint for the right surface. And that's really the solution to that faded, chalky looking vinyl. Just paint it. Good luck with that project, Maureen. Not too difficult. You can handle this one. Well, as the seasons shift, your floors are gearing up for a rough ride. Think about your wet boots, those muddy shoes, the falling leaves, and all of that heavy indoor foot traffic. Now is the time to show the floors a little love with a fall deep clean and seal that will keep them protected and looking great all season long. So let's start with hardwood floors. You want to give them a gentle, deep clean. You can use a hardwood-specific cleaner and a damp, not wet mop. You want to avoid vinegar or steam mops because those can actually damage the finish. You also want to look for wear spots. If the finish looks dull or it even feels a little rough, it could be time for a light reseal. Water-based polyurethane finishes are great for quick touch-ups, and they do dry faster than those oil-based options. And if you can, fix those squeaks now. Sometimes a sprinkle of talcum powder between the squeaky boards can work wonders, or you can use a countersink and a trim screw to quiet the creakiest offenders before all of those holiday guests arrive. Now, if you've got tile and grout flooring there, the grout definitely can get grimy fast. A deep scrub with baking soda and water, you kind of make a paste out of it, or even a commercial grout cleaner can brighten up those dingy grout lines. You can then seal the grout to help prevent staining and water damage from all of the fall moisture and the winter slush. This is a quick weekend project that can make a big difference in keeping your tile looking fresh. Also, take the time now to check for loose tiles. If any have shifted or sound hollow when tapped, the best way is to just fix them now before moisture finds their way underneath. And you just kind of reattach them with some tile adhesive and regrout where needed. Now, stone floors. Stone floors need special care. So you want to make sure you use a pH-neutral stone cleaner to avoid etching of the surface or even discoloration. And if you haven't sealed that stone floor in a year or two, now's the time to do so. That stone sealer is going to create a barrier that will help resist stains, water, even winter salt, which can leave those white marks if you leave it unchecked. Now let's talk about your entryway. It's the front line for dirt and moisture, so set it up like a fortress. You want to add boot trays, cord mats, which are great for grabbing debris, washable rugs to catch messes before they spread and then be quickly cleanable. You also want to consider switching to darker rugs or mats for the fall because they will just hide the mess a little better between the cleanings, and try to manage the humidity. As the heaters start to click on, humidity levels will drop, and that can cause wood floors to shrink and gaps to appear. You can use a humidifier to keep that indoor air balanced, ideally between 30 and 50%. Your floors, your furniture, even your skin is going to thank you. Bottom line, a little floor prep now means less cleaning, fewer repairs, and more time enjoying those cozy nights in. Whether it's hardwood, tile, or stone, seal it, protect it, and set your home up for a cleaner, safer fall and winter.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab, LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. And when it comes to checking off coverage, a State Farm agent can help you choose an option that's right for you. Whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
All right, Jim, who's on the line?
All right, now I'm going to welcome another Jim who loves to put new insulation on top of old insulation and then add some more insulation in the attic. What's going on? You've got something happening.
You can never have too much.
Yeah, right,
never,
right.
never.
I'm hoping I didn't outsmart myself. I thought I would insulate my attic. I would do it myself. So I went down to the local Lowe's and picked up some insulation, put it up there, staple gunned it on. This has been going on for a few years. Well, I went up there recently, and it looks like there's some mold growing on the ceiling, on the wood that I don't have the insulation on. So now I'm thinking I've outsmarted myself. What do I do? Is it mold? I think it is. How do I get rid of it? What do I do to prevent it in the future? Did the insulation have something to do with it? Anything you could tell me, I sure would appreciate it.
All right, Jim. Well, I mean, I think it's probably a good idea to add some insulation. What you might not have known, though, is that when you add insulation, because you're really closing up the space, you actually have to add in ventilation. So depending on the age of your house, I mean, you might not have had enough insulation to begin with or enough ventilation to begin with, or maybe you inadvertently blocked some of the soffit vents, because sometimes when you're putting the insulation across the floor of the attic, you accidentally block those ventilation points. So I think what you really need is more ventilation so that you're not trapping that moist air inside the attic space. And when that does happen, it kind of condenses on the underside of the roof sheathing, and then you can grow algae or moss or mold. But I wouldn't panic too much about it. Just try to increase the ventilation in the attic. You can add soffit vents if possible. If you don't have them, you can add a ridge vent. And then I would maybe spray down with a 25% bleach solution in that space. Wear a mask. You're going to kill anything that's there, and just keep an eye on it. Going forward, you want to make sure that you've got the good ventilation, you're keeping the insulation dry. Otherwise, that sort of thing can definitely happen, but now you're aware, so you're going to be checking it out, and you're ahead of the game, all right? Thanks so much for calling us at 888-MONEY-PIT. Time now to answer some of our listeners' emails. Jim, who wrote in this week?
Well, Martin happened to write in. He says, we're having engineered wood flooring installed in our second bedroom, and we want to know what are the benefits and drawbacks of having it glued down or having it just float. Also, should we have something between the plywood and the floor, or anything else we should consider before we have this installed? Well, asking good questions.
Yeah, all right. Well, first of all, Martin, floating floors are really the best today. Those floor systems have boards that lock together, but they don't have to be glued. They simply lay in place and lock together. You leave maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch of space sort of around the perimeter, and then you cover that with molding just to make sure that you leave that gap. I think that's even it's called shoe molding.
Yep. Or quarter round, yeah.
That little curved piece that just sort of bridges that gap. Yep. Quarter round, same thing. So that's going to do a good job. The benefit there is when you leave the gap, the floor eventually expands and kind of starts to buckle, and that could be problematic if it's sort of secured and locked in. But having that little area of floating space all around does solve that problem. Now, an underlayment that you asked is useful for comfort and for sound reductions. I would suggest that you check with the manufacturer of the floor that you've purchased and see which underlayment products they recommend. It is going to vary because some of those boards have underlayment attached to them already, and others use sort of like a thin rubbery foam, something that goes across the floor first. But most importantly, you need to speak to who this manufacturer is and figure out what they suggest is best, because you don't want something that's going to hinder the effectiveness of the floor that you've already purchased. But this is a good floor to put down, and you are going to love how it looks.
Changing your HVAC filter doesn't help just your system run more efficiently. It can actually improve your indoor air quality and lower your energy bills and prevent costly breakdowns. Leslie has the scoop on how to change it, what kind of filter to use, and why skipping this step could be hazardous to your health. Leslie, have at it.
All right. Well, as we head into fall and start relying more on our heating system, now's the perfect time to talk about one of the simplest but most important HVAC maintenance tasks, and that's just changing out your air filter. Air filters do a lot more than just keep dust out of your vents. They're your home's first line of defense against airborne allergens like pollen, pet dander, and even mold spores. But when they get clogged, and they do get clogged, your HVAC system has to work a lot harder to push that air through. So that's going to mean higher energy bills, more wear and tear on the system, and reduced indoor air quality. So how often should you be changing it? Well, for most homes, that's every 30 to 90 days is kind of a general good rule of thumb. But if you have pets, allergies, or if you live in a dusty area, you should be bumping that up to once a month. And if you have any recent construction or home projects that are stirring up debris, you might want to change it even sooner. Now, choosing the right filter is going to matter as well. A HEPA style or a pleated air filter is going to offer better filtration than the cheaper fiberglass ones, though they may slightly reduce the airflow. For most systems, a MERV rating here between 8 and 13 strikes the right balance between filtration and efficiency. And don't forget, a clean filter not only helps your system run better, it helps you breathe better. So if you haven't changed yours in a while, now is the time. All right, that's a wrap for us this hour here on the Money Pit. We kick things off with smart seasonal storage tips to help you flip your closet and tackled your floors. From deep cleaning to sealing, we shared how to protect them before mud, moisture, and messy boots take over. And finally, we covered the smallest fix with the biggest impact, changing your HVAC air filter to breathe easier and boost your system performance. Whether you are organizing, cleaning, or prepping for the cooler temps, these are the projects that'll set your home up for fall success. Thanks for being with us. Remember, you can do it yourself, but you don't have to do it alone.
On the Money Pit Radio Show. On the Money Pit Radio Show. Pick up the telephone. Fix up your home sweet home by calling 888-MONEY-PIT.
The road is calling. Embrace the thrill of the drive with the fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. Featuring effortless power and advanced Audi tech, the next chapter of Audi is here.
Calling all sightseers and selfie takers. Welcome to Texas, where a day on our hiking trails will lead to a lifetime of memories. And family road trips become family legends. Where thrill seekers make a splash into spring-fed pools. And picky eaters will clean their plates. This is your invitation to visit Texas and see it for yourself. Visit TravelTexas.com and plan your family's trip today. Let's Texas.